start with the story of how Faasos began. You're working at McKinsey, and then you decide to start making rolls.
Food was really always something very close. Food and football.
You're painting a very stereotypical Bengali picture
Yes,
now,
yes,
right?
yes. I was really missing the Kolkata rolls in Pune.
Will you make a decent roll if you have?
I can take a bite and say whether it's a decent roll or not.
That's a very different skill set.
We are not like Uber of India or Amazon of India. We are the first people in the world to do cloud kitchen at scale.
What was the most challenging point that you faced when you said that, maybe I need to go back to, that professional job?
Revenue dropped by 80%. Could not pay my daughter's school fees for a quarter.
So you started off with Faasos, of course, but why the name Rebel Foods?
Someone said, see, you guys don't do anything by the book, so, why don't you call yourselves Rebel?
Whether you know Rebel Foods or not, you definitely know at least one or more of their brands. Faasos, Behrouz Biryani, and many, many others. The story of Rebel Foods is one not only of churning out delicious, quick meals, but also churning out a number of founders who've gone on to do many, many other things. I'm speaking with one of the co-founders and the CEO of Rebel Foods today, Jaydeep Barman, with us on the Disruptors. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you very much for having me.
Great to have you here.
Yeah.
And, I think a lot of your brands, and your brands well known across the country, in 10 countries across the world. But why did you name this Rebel Foods? You started off with Faasos, of course, but why the name Rebel Foods?
Well, it's a longish story. Yeah, we started with Faasos, but then, in a circuitous way, we came to the point where we could have one kitchen but many brands. And then, over time we launched Behrouz, Ovenstory, Lunchbox, etc., etc. But then someone in the company someday said that we can't be then called Faasos because that's one of our brands. It's similar to, why Google went to Alphabet because they had different things. Why Facebook went to Meta because, you can't call the company Facebook if you have Facebook, Instagram, WhatsApp, so on. So not at that level, but whatever.
Why Zomato became eternal?
Why Zomato became eternal, exactly. So absolutely. So we were toying with this idea of having a new name to call the company. And then in fact, in one of the board meetings, it got popped up. Someone said, see, you guys don't do anything by the book. So, why don't you call yourselves Rebel? And it just, a switch went off and everybody in the room said, okay, this is the name. And it gives and why we stuck to that name was it gives a tremendous opportunity to create the culture. Because when I send a, company-wide email, I say, Dear Rebels. And when someone is reading it, that person is a rebel. So naturally it's challenging the status quo, innovating, not going mainstream. Rebels in good ways.
I know. I was just going to ask because you're the boss. So even if you're writing Dear Rebels, does any rebellion survive in your company?
Of course. That's in our DNA, and I think it's also about how we tell the story of our company. Why would someone join Rebel Foods? Because it is a certain kind of a place, which is not very mainstream. If you think about us as a company, we are not a X of Y in India. We are not like Uber of India or, Amazon of India or Ola of India. In fact, I've seen pitch decks in the US, we said they are Rebel Foods of India. So, unlike many other startups, we had to build our own story. And when we say, together we are building something unique, something the world hasn't seen, we don't know whether we'll succeed or fail. But it attracts a certain kind of people. And the name is it gives me, other senior management, people across the ranks, a way to just immediately say, okay, are you being a rebel? It has its couple of downsides, but mostly it has worked with us, and that is why it felt the right name, right off the bat.
So it started as, I would say, where maybe the name Sinks is, it started as a rebellion against a certain format of selling food. You tried it once, you wanted to open seating restaurants actually to sell Faasos, the first big product, and I think still your biggest product. And it didn't work. Moving to cloud kitchens was a rebellion in a sense, isn't it? Against a status quo that just didn't work for you.
Yep. Yeah, absolutely. And well, Faasos is not anymore the largest brand.
It's not?
It's not.
Which one is it?
Behrouz.
Really? Overtaken good old Faasos?
Yeah. But Faasos sells more units.
Ah. In terms of value, Behrouz
In terms
is
of value, Behrouz is, and there are many others in the queue now. But yeah. So you're right. When we started, like really started living our jobs and all of that back in 2011, the only national chains were the franchises of global brands in India. Like McDonald's, Domino's just went public in 2009, I think, but these were all held by business families, Jaipurias and these guys, okay? The deep pocket. So they could have a 20-year vision. But an entrepreneur starting a small food outlet, that person is thinking about how to meet payroll, next month, right? And in India, you won't, even today, in the brick and mortar format, outside maybe Haldiram's, there is not a single brand that has done a national, chain, let's say. There is none. You can't say none. You can't say any. Like Paradise, only Hyderabad, maybe they went to Bangalore or something. There is nothing. And we thought deeply about it when we were really struggling back in the day, when, our product was well loved. We were, we were having steady growth, but we were not making any money. And we realized that, and we really thought deeply about why India doesn't have national chains. Like if you look at the US, there are like 75 restaurant chains with $1 billion of revenue, right? Well, India may not have $75 billion, at least $500 million, but nothing. The reason is, and later on, we realized the reason is the difference between a market like US and India is in the US, real estate is cheap, labor is costly. In India, real estate is costly, labor is cheap. I'll tell you, even the best run QSR in India, the real estate cost in India is 10-12% of revenue. In the US, that number is 5-6%. So India is actually twice more costly than US from an infrastructure point of view. From a labor point of view, it's totally different. That's why restaurants in the high street, it's very simple. Like if 5 people are trying to open a restaurant on a high street in Malad, there are only 2 locations that everybody is eyeing because there is not enough infrastructure. There is not enough nice buildings. So the rent goes up. This is the reason 90% of food businesses fold in India within the first 3 years.
And you were almost there.
We were almost there.
You did fold and then come back.
We didn't fold. We survived just in the nick of time, let's say.
Okay, let's break this up. Let's start with the story of how Faasos began. You left your day job, or you started it along with your day job, which was a great job. You're working at McKinsey, and then you decide to start making rolls. How did that happen? And take us to the point at which the first attempt didn't really work out.
So we started it was supposed to be a something on the side because I was really missing the Kolkata rolls in Pune, and I grew up on those. So I said, what is the best way to get Calcutta rolls to Pune is to start, a store which sells Calcutta rolls. But that was never supposed to be a livelihood, And then, I went to INSEAD for my MBA, and then from there, I was with McKinsey in the London office for about 4 years. But this thing was there, I franchised it out back then. There were like 3 outlets by the time I came back. And the reason I came back was, which is your question, why you thought of starting to make rolls, is a personal one. because my daughter was, I think, 4 back then. And I was at this cusp of my life when I was thinking where to raise my daughter, and I loved London, cosmopolitan. I was doing well at McKinsey. All of that was there. But at the same time, deep in my heart, I wanted to raise my daughter in India. So I had to come. So I took a sabbatical. I didn't leave the job because McKinsey has this option of you can be anywhere in the world, any office, and so on. But then when I came back, I saw the 3 outlets that were there. I saw Domino's IPO happening about 12, 13 months before. And I just saw that I could give this a go. And food was really always something very close. Food and football, largely 2 things that...
You're painting a very stereotypical Bengali picture
yes.
now, by the way.
Zero profit, only football, poetry, food. Very, very Bengali, lazy, very, very Bengali.
But you made the profit. Do you cook?
Sometimes when I'm allowed at home.
Will you make a decent roll if you have to?
I can make a decent roll.
Okay. So the first
or at least I can take a bite and say whether it's a decent roll or not.
That's a very different skill set. Okay.
But you know what? Most people who start a company have to be customers first and supplier later. Because when you're a customer, you know what the customer wants. And you make that supplier happen. But if you're a supplier, you are having a supply side view. Basically,
a typical CEO material. Don't necessarily know how to do anything, but tell everyone what is wrong.
Could be, yeah. No. Yeah, absolutely.
But anyway, so we're at the point you come back, you say, all right, let's get into this full-fledged.
Yeah.
And it starts growing. It works out.
Well, I think the 14 years that we've been at business, it has been, absolute roller coaster. But we didn't have a playbook. Nobody in the team could say that, okay, this is how this company was built. Let's just follow and build it, similarly. We didn't have those luxuries. So we had to create our own path. We were the first people in the world to do cloud kitchen at scale, multi-brand cloud kitchen at scale. Today, we are sitting on an operating system which we can, give to someone else as a SaaS product from a tech point of view, because we built it ourselves. So it has not been an easy one-way path, linear path. It was lots of ups and downs. We are probably the only company in India which are more than 1,500 crore and close to 2,000 crore in revenue, homegrown food brand, right? We are not a franchisee of XYZ, etc. So there are a few things that have worked out for us, but still a long way to go.
What was the nadir, the most challenging point that you faced when you said that, maybe I need to go back to that professional job and that fixed salary, and this is not really working out? Was there any point like that, which was really the depths?
Yeah, I would say many, and they became more infrequent over the years. Initially, it would be like every 6 months, but then off late, it is like the last time I remember was COVID, the beginning of COVID. I mean, it's not an option for me to leave this and go to a job.
No, but by COVID, you're already a big brand.
Yeah, so I would say it was not, but you have to think about this, like March 20, our revenue, the last 10 days, our revenue dropped by 80%.
Yeah.
Our cost was same, right? So it's not like something I can say that, okay, this was one of the days, So that was a killer. 80% revenue gone, the cost is same. And we took a decision not to lay off anyone. But we went through that phase. We hibernated half of our kitchens. So it was, though maybe I was not thinking about going back to my job, it was a...
No, but okay, pre-COVID, the worst point ever, would you say?
I would say around 2013, 14, when we still had not made the pivot to cloud kitchen.
Okay. You were still renting. You were paying rents you couldn't afford.
We were paying rents we could not afford. There was a month when I remember that I think the lowest personal point for me was when I could not pay my daughter's school fees for a quarter. And this is not some grand school fees. Okay, she started going to a good school, like one of the best schools in Pune, but it's a public school, like a missionary school. That was, I would say, personally, that I remember that. That was a time when it was a little bit, scary, I would say. And also, more than for me, but for my wife and daughter, it was something, because they were, they never thought that money would be a problem, and my wife actually used to do a decent, like pretty good job in London. So she came back and said, okay, I would leave my career for you, and not many people do that. But then that was a time when it all hit the ceiling, I would say.
Yeah. This is a story that plays out again and again in various kinds of these interviews that I do, where at the end of the day, success comes because of the backing of many people.
Absolutely.
And sometimes it's family members who are
Yeah.
coming through. Sometimes it's that one person who's willing to
Yeah.
take a bet on you.
Yeah.
What was that in your case? Someone who said, okay, I think this idea will work.
For me, that person is Anand Lunia. I don't know whether you've come across this person. Then when we started our first hole in the wall thing, his dad, lent me some money, and that's how we started.
How much, may I ask?
I think 3.5 lakhs or something like that.
You started with that, huh?
We started with that back in 2004. Yeah. But then, my wife for the longest time used to hate Anand, because then when I was at McKinsey, it was Anand who put this thing in my head that you should come back, and India is in the next place, etc. And then when we went through that, let's say the bad phase, my wife would be like, this is the person that I had, in all zest, it's, I think Anand has, and he backed me. He was the first person to again write the check when I came back here. Over time, he's been a great support.
That's fantastic. Now, in terms of the expansion and the plan of Rebel Foods, let's come to that. Some very well-known brands, some relatively newer brands, all of them growing. Some overlaps as well. Maybe you have a couple of brands that do biryani, for example. You have a couple of brands who do kind of the similar kind of thing. What is the plan there? What is the strategy? Is it a volume game to be available across the board at various price points? Or what is the plan there in terms of reaching to a wider lot of people?
You asked a question that fundamentally gets at the heart of what we are. Okay. So, there are a lot of 2x2s at Rebel, because of my consulting vestie or whatever you call it. But we like to think in 2x2s. Makes life simpler, makes problem solving simpler. So if you think about food is the only consumer goods where there are no, largely premium customers and mass customers. Like, for example, if you say cars, people are either driving Mercedes or Maruti, not at the same time. But in food, you have, between meetings, like a day like this, you were describing your day, it was like full of meetings, right? You want something quick, regular, maybe healthy, that's it. But you are the same person who would, when you go out with your friends and family, you want to go to a 5-star hotel or a fine dine, or you order some nice meal at home, you don't mind splurging then. So if you put all of this in a simplistic view, the 2x2 that is at the heart of Rebel is, on one axis you have single serve to group serve, on the other axis you have value and luxury. And single serve value is your quick weekday lunch. Group serve luxury is your weekend dinner. This 2x2 cannot be created for any other consumer category. So now that we have one operating system or one kitchen, let's say, or one stack, we can actually build brands in these 4 boxes. So Behrouz is weekend luxury. When you have people at home, bragging rights, or celebration. Like yesterday, just 2 weeks back, we did an order of 5,000 biryanis in an Amazon party in Hyderabad, in their head office. 5,000 biryanis, Behrouz Biryanis.
Wow.
Because In Hyderabad, when there is Paradise, Chagos and, all these guys. Why? Because when you are celebrating, you need a brand that resonates with people, that reflects that celebration. While the biryani life is a single sub value biryani, it's no worse in terms of quality, but the portion size, the ingredients are different. Lunchbox, single sub value. Sweet Truth dessert is a single sub value or group sub value. It can be in both. Smoor, which is a brand that we own, is group sub luxury, and so on and so forth. So that's how we think about it. And then there is a cuisine cut also. In India, like 10 big cuisines cover 80% of the market, right? So in time, we want to be in each of these 10 cuisines, but within the cuisines, we want to occupy some of these boxes. There are corollary benefits. Like most restaurants are busy on Saturday night, empty on Monday afternoon. But our kitchens are always busy because different brands supply at different points in time, right? So, but the main thing is from a customer point of view, customer moves between these 4 boxes. And we as a company also move between these 4 boxes with our brands. So that's, I know it's a long answer.
No, it's a very interesting one.
But
I have tons of follow-ups because, it's what it's telling me is that the food philosophy, and for a lot of food brands, the food philosophy comes from personal love of a dish, or it comes from a culinary, viewpoint, etc. Here, the company's food philosophy is coming from a very clear business strategy. Where is the chef's heart in all of this? Is the question.
See,
when you're okaying a product, if it doesn't fit in this 4x4, does it make the cut?
See, I think quality is a non-negotiable in all of the 4 boxes.
Yeah.
So we can't have a substandard biryani or a substandard bowl. I mean, that's a given.
Okay.
Because as a food brand, nothing gets out of Rebel Kitchen unless... So there were a couple of tenets we had in the beginning. Like, we won't make anything that our children won't be able to have. Right? So the quality, the ingredients. So we have a two-floor head office in Bombay. The first floor is, the business people. The second floor is business people. First floor is the Culinary Innovation Center. And there are 15 chefs. Headed by a guy who's been with us for 10 years now. They create, so there are, what goes to the customer, if there are 10 products that go to the customer in a year from Rebel, there are 100 products that get made in the Culinary Innovation Center. Only 10 go out in the market because there is, every Wednesday is a tasting day. That's why we have to run longer and we have to, do things that otherwise we won't be doing. So a lot of customer FGDs happen. Every product that we launch is launched in a couple of kitchens. So that's another good thing about our model, that we can launch products like software releases, right? So we don't have to put up a new store, new thing, etc. Launch in a couple of kitchens, and we define a product market fit for a product based on 2 elements. One is the customer love. If the product is not 4.2 rated, it doesn't get scaled up. Simple. Because the great benefit we have as a delivery-centric company is every order is rated. That is not true in a dining. Like you walk in, buy something, you never give the feedback, right?
Yeah.
But on delivery, most times you do.
But the thing about delivery is, and I speak to a lot of restaurateurs, and the whole fight that restaurants are having with platforms is the bite of the pie that they have to give the platform companies. And I know you have your own platform as well, but I'm guessing you're still a large part of your deliveries go out on the Swiggies and Zomatos of the world?
Yep.
Yeah?
Yep.
And there is a price to pay there, right? Does that make up for the cost of whatever you save on real estate, or is this the optimal sort of solution right now?
See, when you look at it from a holistic point of view, obviously every model has its pros and cons, right? It makes sense in India. Whether it will make sense in the US is a different matter altogether. But here it makes total sense. But it only works at scale. Because India is a supply constrained market, right? So today Behrouz is the only biryani brand that is available across 70 cities. There is no other brand which is available in more than 5 cities. Same goes for Faasos. It's the only rolls brand you go to. You go to Delhi, you go to Bangalore, you work somewhere, you live somewhere, everywhere you will find Faasos the same quality, etc. There is nothing else. India is a supply constant market, right? And as a result, it's a very symbiotic relationship because Zomato, Swiggy's market is a market that we also influence in terms of bringing new supply, bringing good brands. Like we share data in terms of where should we open our next cloud kitchen. Because when we bring supply to an Amritsar or a Coimbatore or a Pondicherry, the market grows. And that's why I'm saying this works at scale. It'll take time to get there.
So
but
why do you have your own platform then?
Good question. I think we are, as a brand owner, if you think about Nike as a brand, all brands in the world are platform agnostic. So you'll have a Nike store, you'll find it in Foot Locker, you'll find it in Amazon or Myntra, right? So our strategy is same. We are a brand, we should be omni-channel to the customer. Today, on aggregator, you have to order a biryani and a pizza separately.
Yeah.
You pay separate delivery fee, it'll come. If you want to add a dessert, maybe the dessert will come before the pizza, At Rebel, we have this unique ability to create your cart for let's say 5 people. Everyone wants something else. Someone wants a burger, someone wants a wrap, everybody wants coffee. You can put all in the same cart. There's only one app in India where you can do this, is our app. Because nobody else was solving this.
But this is selling only your food.
This is selling our food, but we have a biryani, we have a pizza, we have a coffee, we have desserts, we have rolls.
But you don't want to open it to other brands.
We don't open it because, I think food is our right to win, not logistics.
Yeah.
For platform, logistics is their right to win, not food. Like for example, we partnered with ITC MasterChef. So in many kitchens in Bangalore, now coming to Bombay, in Hyderabad, our kitchens have ITC MasterChef. So that's how we take it. Either our own brand or third-party brand where we bring our operating system in play, not logistics.
But do you deliver in 15 minutes?
Well, for some things, yeah.
So what do you think about that race? Delivering food faster and faster. Can you deliver quality in that time span? And do you think now it's, the next leg is to figure out how to deliver that fast because that seems to be the need.
If you look at innovation, like at business school, we were taught this lesson called Innovator's Dilemma by Christian Clayton. And what he says is that any incumbent improves quality over time. Okay. When QSR came, what did people say QSR is bad food, etc. Right? But all value in the world has been created in QSR and not in fine dine restaurants. That's because it has got to a quality where it's good enough. And in some cases tremendous, like Shake Shack and Chipotle and places like that. So quicker doesn't mean worse. Cheaper doesn't mean worse. More convenient doesn't mean worse. As a philosophy, disruption will always happen when a new guy will come, and I think very tellingly, this show is called Disruptors. But this is the mechanism of disruption.
Yeah.
Someone comes at a lower end of the market, cheaper, more convenient thing. Food delivery versus, like initially 2014, 15, people used to say food delivery product will get cold, it will not.
Yeah.
But look at what has happened. 3 years back, quick commerce, what is this? Who needs product at 10 minutes? And this is the other thing. Customers are not asking for it. But when it is available, customers will go for it. If you go to a McDonald's today and order a McChicken, you get it in 1 minute.
Yeah.
But if you order a filet of fish, it'll take 10 minutes. Why? Because McDonald's has data that these many McChicken orders are going to come. So it doesn't mean they're less fresh than the filet of fish, But can give it to you because data tells McDonald's that it can be done very quickly. And you keep it ready. It doesn't mean that filet of fish is fresher than the McChicken. So today, we have the data, how many orders of burger we're going to get in the next 10 minutes. Like think about Paradise. You go to Paradise and ask for a biryani, they give it to you.
Yeah.
They don't prepare the biryani.
They have it ready. So
Same.
Speed and quality can be driven by data.
Absolutely.
So is the next disruption for you being listed? The path to IPO, is that going to be the next one in terms of the journey for the company? Of course, innovations will come.
Yeah.
But in terms of the journey of the company?
See, I think we're here to keep building, and IPO will come at some point. I know it's a hackneyed answer. A lot of people give it like that. But we have investors, thankfully, on board who are ready to be partners for a very long time. And we should be ready to go public in terms of governance, in terms of our financial profile, all of that. But at what point in time exactly, that's an evolving discussion. But, long story short, I think next couple of years, we definitely should be at least ready to be an IPO-able company, and then we'll see.
And how many brands, what's the vision like right now, sitting here today? How many more brands, how many more customers? What is your vision board looking like?
So we want to be present in the top 10 cuisine categories in India. Today we are not present at scale in Chinese, in South Indian, and health, which is a growing category. Though we just started Honest Bowl in that effort. So we'll have brands in these categories, maybe one, maybe a couple. Second, we would like to bring some more iconic brands from the US to India, like we've done with Wendy's. There are a couple of more discussions that are going on. So that will evolve as we speak. Today we're in 70 cities and about 400 kitchens in India. We are adding 100 to 150 kitchens this year. So we'll cross 500 kitchens this year. And every new city we go to, we realize the depth of India.
So the plan to feed India one rebel kitchen at a time.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for speaking with us. It's been a fascinating conversation.
Sure.
And good luck with everything.
Thank you. Thanks a lot.
Thank you.